It was 2:47 a.m. when Josephine woke up to that familiar, sinking feeling. The wetness, the shame, the quiet tears that no one else would ever see. At 68, Josephine had raised 4 children, managed a household through decades of challenges, and prided herself on her independence. But there she was, stripping her sheets in the dark again, whispering apologies to herself that echoed too loudly in the silence. "My bladder is just broken," she told herself, bundling the damp linens toward the laundry room. "This is just what happens when you get old." For 3 months, Josephine had been shrinking her world. No more morning walks with her neighbor Sarah. What if she couldn't find a bathroom in time? No more volunteering at the church. The anxiety of sitting through a whole service was unbearable. Even grocery shopping had become a carefully mapped mission, planned around bathroom locations. She'd bought the adult pads, whispered her symptoms to her doctor, tried cutting back on water, which only made her feel weak and dizzy. Everyone said the same thing. "It's normal at your age, Josephine. Your bladder muscles are just getting weaker." But Josephine didn't feel weak. She felt betrayed by her own body. 3 weeks ago, something changed. Josephine came to see me not because she believed I could help. She'd nearly given up hope, but because her daughter insisted. She sat in my office with her purse clutched tight, looking embarrassed to even be there. "Doctor, I don't want to live the rest of my life planning everything around bathrooms, but everyone tells me this is just normal aging." I leaned forward and said something that surprised her. "Josephine, what if I told you this might not be about your bladder muscles at all? What if the real problem is sitting in your kitchen right now?" Her eyes widened. For the first time in months, I saw a flicker of hope. You see, what happened to Josephine, and what might be happening to you, isn't about weakness or aging or broken muscles. It's about 3 specific foods that are quietly, innocently sabotaging your bladder every single day. The 3 foods I'm about to show you are probably in your kitchen right now. And if you're like Josephine, they might be the reason you're planning your life around bathrooms instead of living it fully. If this sounds familiar, if you've ever felt that shame, that frustration, that sense of your world getting smaller, I want you to type yes in the comments. You're not alone. And more importantly, you're about to discover this isn't your fault. Because what Josephine learned next changed everything. And in the next few minutes, it might change everything for you, too. I can see the confusion in your eyes, the same confusion I saw in Josephine's face that day. How could food be causing bladder problems, especially healthy food? This confusion makes perfect sense, and I want you to know, you're not imagining things. For years, maybe decades, you've been told to eat certain foods for your health. Your doctor recommended them, health magazines praised them. You've been doing everything right. So why do you feel like your body is betraying you? Here's what I've learned after 30 years of helping seniors reclaim their confidence. Sometimes the very foods we've been taught to see as healthy can become our bladder's worst enemies. Not because they're bad foods, but because of how they interact with our changing bodies as we age. Think of your bladder like a sensitive friend who's become more particular over the years. In your 20s and 30s, that friend was easygoing, could handle anything you threw at them. But now they need gentleness, understanding, and very specific care. When I first discovered this connection, I'll be honest, I was skeptical. I'd been recommending these foods to patients for years. I thought I was helping them live healthier lives. But patient after patient would come back saying, "Doctor, I'm eating better than ever, so why am I feeling worse?" That's when I started paying attention to patterns. Josephine wasn't unique. There was Martha, who'd started drinking fresh orange juice every morning for vitamin C and suddenly couldn't make it through her morning routine without multiple bathroom trips. There was Robert, who'd switched to cranberry juice for prostate health and found himself getting up 4 times a night. These weren't coincidences. These were clues. You see, Certain foods, even nutritious ones, contain natural compounds that can irritate the bladder lining, especially as we age and that lining becomes more sensitive. Other foods can actually increase urine production or create urgency signals that have nothing to do with how much liquid you've consumed. It's like putting citrus juice on a small cut. The citrus isn't bad, it's full of vitamin C and antioxidants, but on sensitive skin, it stings. Your bladder can react the same way to certain foods, creating that urgent, burning sensation that sends you rushing to the bathroom. The tragedy is that you've probably been blaming yourself, thinking you're weak or broken, or that this is just part of getting older. But what if it's not? What if the solution is as simple as understanding which foods are sending your bladder into overdrive? I want you to take a deep breath and release any guilt you've been carrying. This isn't about willpower or aging gracefully or accepting limitations. This is about knowledge that can give you your freedom back. The first food on this list is something I recommended to patients for years, something I ate myself every morning without question. I was completely wrong. And if you've been struggling with urgency, frequency, or those embarrassing moments that make you want to hide at home, this first food might be the culprit you never suspected. If you've ever felt confused about why eating healthy sometimes makes you feel worse, type "confused" in the comments. You're about to get clarity that changes everything. Remember Josephine sitting in my office clutching her purse? When I mentioned that the problem might be in her kitchen, she looked confused. "But doctor, I eat so healthy now. My daughter brought me fresh orange juice just this morning. Said I needed more vitamin C." That's when everything clicked. For 2 years, Josephine had been starting every day with a tall glass of fresh orange juice. "It's supposed to be good for me," she said. "Natural vitamin C, antioxidants. I thought I was doing the right thing." But Josephine was making 6 trips to the bathroom before noon. 6! And each trip felt urgent, almost desperate, like her bladder was staging a rebellion against her body. "Josephine," I said gently, "what if that orange juice, the very thing you're drinking to stay healthy, is exactly what's causing these urgent trips?" The first food that might be overworking your bladder is citrus fruits and their juices. Oranges, grapefruits, lemons, limes, and yes, that morning glass of orange juice that's supposed to be so good for you. I know this might feel like a betrayal. Citrus fruits are packed with vitamin C, antioxidants, and nutrients your body needs. They're not bad foods. But here's what happens when they meet your aging bladder. Think of your bladder lining like the inside of your mouth. You know how it feels when you eat something very acidic, like a sour candy or a tart lemon? That slight burning, tingling sensation? Your bladder lining can experience something very similar when acidic foods hit your system. Citrus fruits are naturally high in citric acid and other organic acids. When your kidneys filter these acids out of your blood, they concentrate them in your urine. Suddenly, every time you urinate, you're essentially bathing your already sensitive bladder lining in acid. This creates what I call the urgency spiral. The acid irritates the bladder wall, making it feel like you need to empty immediately, even when there's barely anything there. So you rush to the bathroom, maybe get a few drops, but 20 minutes later, that burning urgency is back. For Harold, this was happening every single morning. His beloved orange juice ritual was starting an 8-hour cycle of bladder irritation that made him miserable and housebound. But here's the beautiful part of Josephine's story. When we made one simple change, everything shifted. I asked Josephine to replace her morning orange juice with something gentler, herbal tea with a slice of fresh ginger, or simply warm water with a touch of honey for comfort. Just for 2 weeks, I said. Let's see what happens. Josephine called me on day 5. "Doctor, I can't believe it. I made it through my entire morning routine, shower, breakfast, reading the paper, with only 1 bathroom trip. 1! I haven't done that in months." By day 12, Josephine was taking morning walks again with her neighbor Sarah. By day 18, she was back volunteering at the church, confident she could sit through a whole service without that familiar panic. "I had no idea," she told me, tears in her eyes. "I thought I was being so healthy, drinking that juice every morning, and all this time I was making myself miserable." Now, I'm not saying you have to eliminate citrus forever, but if you're starting your morning with orange juice, grapefruit, or even lemon water, and you're experiencing urgency or frequency, especially in those first few hours of the day, this could be your answer. The beautiful thing is, you don't have to suffer to be healthy. There are so many ways to get vitamin C that won't irritate your bladder. Bell peppers, strawberries, broccoli, even a gentle vitamin C supplement with food. But this next food, even doctors get this wrong. In fact, it's something we've been recommending specifically for bladder health, not realizing we might be making the problem worse. If citrus has been part of your morning routine and you're wondering if this could be your issue, type "morning" in the comments. And remember, there's no shame in discovering that something healthy wasn't working for your unique body. That's wisdom, not failure. 3 weeks after Josephine eliminated her morning orange juice, she came back to see me with a mixed expression, relieved but still puzzled. "Doctor, the mornings are wonderful now, thank you, but I'm still having problems in the afternoons and evenings. And the strange thing is, it seems to be getting worse since I started eating healthier." I leaned forward, curious. "Tell me about this healthier eating, Josephine." "Well," she said, "after our last visit, I decided to really focus on my diet. My daughter brought me articles about the Mediterranean diet and anti-inflammatory foods. So I've been having a big salad with fresh tomatoes for lunch, and most evenings I make pasta with marinara sauce. Or sometimes I'll have a bowl of vegetable soup, the kind with lots of tomato base. I even started snacking on cherry tomatoes because they're supposed to be good for my heart." My heart sank. Here was a woman who'd made such progress, unknowingly creating a new cycle of misery with food she thought were healing her. "Josephine," I said gently, "I think we found your afternoon culprit. And this one's going to surprise you because it's something every doctor, including me, encourages patients to eat more of." The second food that might be overworking your bladder is tomatoes and all tomato-based products. Fresh tomatoes, tomato sauce, marinara, salsa, ketchup, even tomato soup. I can see the shock on your face. Tomatoes are supposed to be good for you. They're packed with lycopene, vitamins, antioxidants. They're the foundation of heart-healthy Mediterranean diets. Doctors recommend them for everything from cancer prevention to cardiovascular health. But here's what we don't tell you. Tomatoes are actually quite acidic, almost as acidic as citrus fruits. The difference is they don't taste as sour, so we don't think of them as acidic foods. It's like a wolf in sheep's clothing for your bladder. When Josephine was eating her healthy lunch salad with fresh tomatoes, then having pasta with marinara sauce for dinner, she was essentially bathing her bladder in acid twice a day. But because these felt like wholesome, healthy meals, she never connected them to her afternoon and evening bathroom urgency. Think of it this way. If citrus fruits are like squeezing lemon juice on a cut, tomatoes are like applying a milder acid that stings just as much but takes longer to notice. The irritation builds throughout the day, creating that afternoon cycle of urgency that had Josephine planning her life around bathroom locations again. "It's like my bladder starts acting up right after lunch," Josephine told me. "By 3 p.m., I'm running to the bathroom every 20 minutes. And evenings are the worst. I can barely sit through a TV show without getting up multiple times." The tomato connection explained everything. Her healthy lunch salad was starting the irritation cycle, and her nutritious dinner was amplifying it, creating a perfect storm of bladder discomfort that lasted well into the night. But here's what made this even more frustrating for Josephine. She was trying so hard to eat well. "Doctor, I gave up the foods I enjoyed and started eating things I thought were good for me. How can healthy foods be making me feel worse?" This is the cruel irony I see in my practice every day. Patients like Josephine sacrifice foods they love, spend money on superfoods, follow every piece of health advice, and end up feeling more miserable than before. When I explained this to Josephine, I saw that familiar mix of relief and frustration cross her face. So, when I was so proud of myself for eating those big, beautiful salads and making homemade marinara sauce, thinking it was better than processed food, I was actually making my bladder problems worse? Yes, I said, and you are definitely not alone in this. We made a simple adjustment. Instead of tomato-based meals, I suggested Josephine try cucumber salads with olive oil and herbs, or pasta with pesto made from basil and olive oil. For that satisfying, savory flavor she was missing, we added roasted red peppers, zucchini, and herb-based sauces. The change was dramatic. Within 5 days, Josephine's afternoon bathroom trips went from every 20 minutes to every hour and a half. Within 2 weeks, she could enjoy her entire evening, dinner, TV, reading, without that constant nagging urgency. I can't believe something so innocent-looking was causing so much trouble, she said. Tomatoes just seem so harmless. That's exactly why the third food caught both Josephine and me off guard. It's something so common, so seemingly innocent, that it's in almost every senior's kitchen. And for Josephine, it was the final piece of the puzzle. If you've been eating more tomatoes, thinking you're doing something good for your health, but noticing afternoon or evening bladder urgency, type tomatoes in the comments. Remember, there's nothing wrong with wanting to eat healthy. Sometimes we just need to find the right healthy foods for our unique bodies.
2 weeks after Josephine eliminated tomatoes from her daily meals, she walked into my office looking radiant. Her posture was straighter, her smile genuine, her whole demeanor lighter than I'd seen in months. "Doctor, I feel like myself again," she said, settling into her chair. "My mornings are peaceful, my afternoons are comfortable. I can go shopping, visit friends, even sit through church without that constant worry. I can't thank you enough." But then her expression shifted slightly, and I noticed her fidgeting with her purse strap. "There is one thing, though," she said hesitantly, "and I feel almost silly bringing it up because everything else is going so well." I leaned forward encouragingly. "What is it, Josephine?" She took a deep breath. "Well, you know how I've been avoiding so many foods? The orange juice, the tomatoes. My daughter and my sister had been concerned. They think I'm getting too restrictive, that I'm going to become malnourished or antisocial." I nodded, having heard this concern from many patients' families. "So last week, my sister invited me to her book club. She's been asking me to come for months, and I finally felt confident enough to go. But when I got there, all the ladies were drinking this special tea blend. They call it their wellness tea. It's supposed to be full of antioxidants and energy boosters. Everyone was raving about how much better they feel since they started drinking it together." Josephine's voice grew quieter. "I didn't want to be difficult. I didn't want to be the person who can't eat or drink anything. So I had a cup. And then, because they were all having seconds and talking about how healthy it was, I had another cup too." I could see where this was heading, but I let her continue. "Within an hour, I was back to that old nightmare. Urgent trips to the bathroom every 15 minutes, that burning, desperate feeling. I was so embarrassed, I had to excuse myself multiple times during the book discussion. The ladies kept asking if I was okay, and I just felt broken again." She looked up at me with frustrated tears in her eyes. "But doctor, it was just tea. Herbal tea with natural ingredients. How could something so innocent, something everyone else was enjoying, make me feel so terrible?" I handed her a tissue and said gently, "Josephine, tell me about this wellness tea. Do you remember what was in it?" "Oh, it was this fancy blend my sister orders online. Green tea, white tea, yerba mate, guarana, ginseng, all natural energy boosters and antioxidants. She said it was like drinking liquid health. All the ladies in her book club swear by it." There it was, the third culprit that had been sabotaging Josephine's progress. "Josephine, I said carefully. That wasn't just herbal tea. That was essentially a caffeine bomb disguised as a wellness drink. The third food, or rather drink, that might be overworking your bladder is high-caffeine wellness beverages. These include energy teas, matcha drinks, yerba mate, guarana-based products, and trendy tea blends marketed as health boosters. They seem innocent, right? After all, they're just plants and herbs. But many of these natural ingredients are actually potent sources of caffeine. Yerba mate contains more caffeine than coffee. Guarana is essentially concentrated caffeine in plant form. When you combine multiple caffeine sources in one drink, you're creating what I call a stealth stimulant. Your bladder gets hit with a massive dose of irritants, but your brain thinks you're just drinking healthy tea. For Josephine, this was devastating not just physically, but emotionally. She'd worked so hard to identify her triggers and regain her freedom. Then, in one social situation, trying to be normal and accommodating, she was right back where she started. I felt like such a failure, she told me. Here I was, finally doing well, and then I couldn't even handle one afternoon with friends. I started wondering if I was just destined to live this restricted, antisocial life forever. This is the cruel reality many of my patients face. Well-meaning family and friends often pressure them to just try foods or drinks, not understanding that what's harmless for one person can be debilitating for another. The social pressure to be normal can undo weeks of careful progress in one single afternoon. My sister felt terrible when I explained what happened. She had no idea that her wellness tea was loaded with caffeine. She thought she was helping me be more social and healthy at the same time. But here's what I told Josephine, and what I want you to understand. Your body's reactions are not character flaws. They're information. And learning to honor that information, even when it's inconvenient or socially awkward, is one of the most loving things you can do for yourself. We worked together to prepare Josephine for future social situations. She practiced saying, "That sounds lovely, but I'll stick with water for now." She started bringing her own herbal teas to gatherings. Most importantly, she learned that taking care of her body wasn't selfish or antisocial. It was essential for her ability to actually enjoy social activities. The next week, Josephine went back to her sister's book club. This time, she brought her own chamomile tea and politely declined the wellness blend. She said, "I felt a little awkward at first, but you know what? I was able to participate fully in the discussion, enjoy the company, and drive home feeling happy instead of miserable." Within a month, several other ladies in the book club had started bringing their own gentler tea options too. Josephine's quiet self-advocacy had given others permission to listen to their bodies too. If you've ever felt pressured to consume something that doesn't feel right for your body, or if you've been enjoying trendy wellness drinks that might be loaded with hidden caffeine, you're not alone. And here's what I want you to know. Taking care of your unique needs isn't high maintenance, it's wisdom. Your body has been trying to tell you something important, and now you finally have the knowledge to listen. If social pressure has ever made you compromise your body's needs, type pressure in the comments. Sometimes the bravest thing we can do is choose our well-being over other people's comfort with our choices.
I'll never forget the moment when Josephine realized she didn't have to choose between being healthy and being comfortable. She sat in my office, looking both hopeful and worried, and asked me the question I hear from almost every patient. "Doctor, I understand what I need to avoid now. The citrus, the tomatoes, the caffeinated teas, but what can I actually have? I don't want to live on plain water and crackers for the rest of my life." I smiled and leaned back in my chair. "Josephine, what if I told you that working with your bladder, instead of fighting it, could actually open up a whole world of delicious, nourishing options you haven't even considered?" Her eyes lit up with curiosity, the same curiosity I hope you're feeling right now. You see, instead of thinking about what you're giving up, I want you to think about what you're gaining. Instead of fighting your bladder with foods that irritate it, we're going to work with your body's wisdom and discover flavors and nutrients that actually support your comfort and health. Let me share the gentle replacement protocol that transformed not just Josephine's bladder health, but her entire relationship with food and her body. For your morning citrus ritual, instead of that acidic orange juice that was sending Josephine to the bathroom 6 times before noon, we found something wonderful. Herbal teas that actually soothe the bladder while giving you that comforting morning ritual. Josephine fell in love with ginger tea with a touch of honey. The warmth was soothing, the ginger gave her a gentle energy boost, and most importantly, her bladder felt calm and content throughout the morning. On days when she wanted something more festive, she'd make chamomile tea with a slice of fresh pear, naturally sweet, comforting, and bladder-friendly. I actually look forward to my morning drink now, she told me. Instead of dreading how it might make me feel, I know it's going to start my day with comfort. For those beloved tomato-based meals that were creating Josephine's afternoon urgency cycles, we had discovered the beautiful world of herb-based and mild vegetable flavors. Instead of marinara sauce, Josephine learned to make a gorgeous pesto with fresh basil, olive oil, and pine nuts. Instead of tomato-heavy salads, she created colorful combinations with cucumbers, bell peppers, and roasted zucchini. The flavors are actually more interesting, she discovered. When I wasn't covering everything in tomato sauce, I started tasting the individual vegetables and herbs. My meals became more varied, not more limited. And here's something beautiful that happened. Josephine's sister started asking for her new recipes. What began as a medical necessity became a culinary adventure that enriched her relationships and her palate. For those social wellness drinks that had sabotaged Josephine's progress, we found alternatives that actually enhanced her social experiences instead of undermining them. Chamomile tea, caffeine-free herbal blends, or simply sparkling water with a slice of cucumber or pear became her go-to options. But here's what made the biggest difference. We prepared her with language that felt confident, not apologetic. Instead of saying, "I can't have that," Josephine learned to say, "I'm enjoying this lovely chamomile tea instead." She shifted from feeling restricted to feeling intentional. The beautiful thing about this approach is that you don't have to change everything overnight. In fact, I don't want you to. Change that's too dramatic usually doesn't last, and it can feel overwhelming instead of empowering. Here's how Josephine made these transitions feel natural and sustainable. She started with just one change, replacing her morning orange juice with ginger tea. For 2 weeks, that was her only adjustment. Once her mornings felt consistently comfortable, she tackled the tomato situation. Only after both of those changes felt natural and easy did she address the social caffeine situations. It didn't feel like I was giving up my whole lifestyle, she explained. It felt like I was making one small, caring choice for myself, then another, then another. Each choice made me feel more powerful, not more limited. By month 3, Josephine was telling me something that still brings tears to my eyes. "Doctor, I don't feel like a patient anymore. I feel like someone who knows how to take beautiful care of herself." She was sleeping through the night. She was planning activities based on what she wanted to do, not where the bathrooms were located. She was cooking new recipes, trying new herbal teas, and discovering that bladder-friendly eating was actually more flavorful and varied than her old habits. But here's the most important part of Josephine's transformation, and what I want you to understand deeply. This isn't about perfection. There were days when Josephine had a bite of her granddaughter's pizza with marinara sauce or sipped her daughter's orange juice. The difference was, now she did it intentionally, knowing she might feel some urgency later, but choosing the social moment over the physical comfort. And because it was a choice, not an accident, she didn't feel defeated when her bladder reacted. "I have my power back," she told me. "Even when I choose to have something that might bother my bladder, I'm choosing it. I'm not a victim of foods I didn't know were causing problems." Now, I want you to take a deep breath and think about which of these gentle swaps calls to you. Maybe it's replacing that morning citrus. Maybe it's experimenting with herb-based sauces instead of tomato ones. Maybe it's bringing your own soothing tea to social gatherings. Whatever feels most doable, most hopeful, start there. Your bladder has been waiting patiently for you to work with it instead of against it. And I promise you, it will respond to your kindness with comfort and cooperation. But there's one more piece of this puzzle that most doctors miss entirely, and it's about timing. When you make these changes, when can you expect to feel different? What should the first few days feel like? And what timeline is realistic for lasting change? This timing question is crucial because expecting results too fast can lead to giving up too soon. But expecting them too slowly can leave you wondering if the changes are actually working. In our next section, I'm going to share the exact timeline Josephine experienced, day by day, so you know what to expect and can celebrate each small improvement along the way. For now, I want you to pick just one gentle replacement to try. Not 3, not all of them at once, just one. Which change feels most hopeful to you right now? Type your choice in the comments: morning ritual, tomato swap, or social drinks. Taking that first step is what transforms hope into healing.
Doctor, when will I know if this is working? Josephine asked me during that first visit, her voice carrying a mixture of hope and skepticism that I've heard from hundreds of patients over the years. I understood her urgency. When you've been living with bladder urgency for months or years, planning your entire life around bathroom locations, every day of discomfort feels like an eternity. You want relief now, not weeks from now. But I also knew something Josephine didn't yet understand. Her body was about to surprise her with how quickly it could respond to kindness instead of irritation. Josephine, I said gently, I want you to pay attention to what happens in the next 48 hours. Not because everything will be perfect, but because you're going to notice the first whispers of change, and I want you to celebrate them. Let me walk you through exactly what Josephine experienced, hour by hour, so you know what to watch for in your own journey. Hour 8. The first quiet morning. The morning after Josephine replaced her orange juice with ginger tea, something subtle but significant happened. She woke up, made her gentle morning drink, and sat reading the newspaper. Halfway through the sports section, she realized something. She hadn't thought about her bladder once. It wasn't that I felt dramatically different, she told me later. It was that I felt normal, like my body wasn't demanding my attention every few minutes. That's what the first 8 hours often look like. Not dramatic improvement, but a subtle absence of irritation. Your bladder isn't staging its usual rebellion. You might not even notice it consciously, but your nervous system does. Hour 24. The confidence spark. By the end of her first full day, Josephine called me, and I could hear excitement in her voice. Doctor, I went to the grocery store today and didn't map out the bathroom location before I went in. I just shopped. It's been months since I've done that. This is what I call the confidence spark. That first moment when you realize you're thinking about your life instead of your bladder. It usually happens within 24 hours of removing the primary irritant, and it's incredibly powerful emotionally. Hour 48. The sleep breakthrough. 2 nights later, Josephine woke up and looked at her clock. 6:30 a.m. She'd slept through the entire night without a single bathroom trip. She lay there for a moment, almost afraid to believe it. I actually felt rested, she told me. I couldn't remember the last time I'd woken up feeling refreshed instead of tired from all those nighttime interruptions. This 48-hour sleep breakthrough is one of the most consistent patterns I see. When you stop irritating your bladder before bed, your body can finally settle into deep, restorative sleep cycles. But here's what I need you to understand. Not every day will feel like progress, especially in those first 2 weeks. Josephine had what she called confused days, where her bladder seemed to act up for no reason at all. This is completely normal and expected. Your bladder has been in a state of chronic irritation for months or years. When you remove the irritants, it doesn't immediately trust that they're gone. Think of it like a sensitive friend who's been hurt. They need time to believe that the hurtful behavior has really stopped. I reassured Josephine that these confused days were actually a sign of healing, not failure. Her bladder was recalibrating, learning to trust again. Give it time, I told her. Your body is remembering how to be comfortable. Week 2, the turning point. By day 14, Josephine's confused days were becoming rare exceptions instead of the rule. She was consistently sleeping 6 to 7 hours without interruption. Her morning routines were peaceful.
Most importantly, she was starting to plan activities based on what she wanted to do, not where the bathrooms were. I made a lunch date with my neighbor, Sarah, she told me, beaming. We're going to that new cafe across town, the one I've been wanting to try for months but never did because I didn't know their bathroom situation. I'm actually excited, not anxious. Week 3, the emotional breakthrough. 3 weeks into her journey, Josephine had what she called her moment of freedom. She was at her granddaughter's soccer game, completely absorbed in cheering, when she realized she'd been sitting for an hour and a half without a single thought about her bladder. I started crying right there in the bleachers, she told me, happy tears. I felt like myself again, like the grandmother who could be present for the whole game, not the woman who spent half the time looking for the bathroom. This emotional breakthrough typically happens between weeks 2 and 4, and it's profound. Patients often describe feeling like they've come home to their own bodies again. Month 2, the new normal. By her second month, Josephine's transformation was complete but subtle. She no longer thought about her bladder health as something that she was managing. It had simply become her new normal. People ask me what changed, and it's hard to explain because it doesn't feel dramatic anymore. I sleep well, I go places without anxiety, I drink things I enjoy without consequences. It just feels like life. But here's what I want you to know about potential setbacks. Even at month 2, Josephine occasionally had challenging days. Maybe she accidentally had something with hidden tomatoes, or she was stressed about a family situation, or she wasn't drinking enough water. The difference was, these setbacks didn't devastate her anymore. She knew they were temporary. She knew what to do. She had her power back. Now when I have a rough bladder day, I just think, okay, what did I eat yesterday? Am I stressed? Do I need more sleep? It's information, not a crisis. Now, here's what I need you to understand about your own timeline. These changes compound. The sleep improvement helps your stress levels, which helps your bladder sensitivity. The reduced anxiety helps your pelvic floor muscles relax, which improves your bladder capacity. The increased confidence helps you make better food and lifestyle choices. It's a beautiful upward spiral, but it requires patience with the process and celebration of small victories. I want you to commit to noticing and celebrating these milestones: your first peaceful morning, your first full night's sleep, your first social outing without bathroom anxiety, your first week of consistent comfort. Each of these moments is proof that your body wants to heal and will respond beautifully to your care and attention. But there's one mistake I see patients make over and over that can undo all of this progress, and it's something most doctors never address. Tomorrow, I'm going to share the #1 mistake that sabotages even the most dedicated patients, often when they're just starting to feel confident again. This mistake is so common and so subtle that patients don't even realize they're making it until their symptoms come flooding back. But once you know what to watch for, it's completely preventable. For now, I want you to celebrate wherever you are in this journey. If you're just starting, celebrate your decision to try something new. If you're in those first 48 hours, celebrate every small sign of improvement. If you're having a confused day, celebrate your commitment to healing even when it's challenging. Type "celebrating" in the comments and share one small victory you've had or one small step you're ready to take. Your bladder has been waiting patiently for your kindness, and every moment of care you give it is worth acknowledging and celebrating.
As we come to the end of our time together today, I want you to take a moment to acknowledge something important. You showed up. You listened. You stayed with me through this entire conversation, even when some of the information challenged what you thought you knew about healthy eating. That takes courage. At 60, 70, 80, or beyond, it would be easy to say, this is just how things are now. This is just part of getting older. But you didn't accept that. You're here because some part of you believes that feeling better is still possible, that comfort and confidence can still be yours. I see this courage in every patient who walks into my office. Patients like Josephine, who is ready to give up hope but decided to try one more time. Patients like Harold, who thought his morning orange juice ritual was non-negotiable until he discovered the peace of herbal tea. Patients like Margaret, who learned that her beloved wellness teas were actually sabotaging her social life.
Each of them had to overcome the voice that said, "You're too old to change. You should just accept this." But they didn't listen to that voice, and neither did you. Today, you've learned that your bladder struggles might not be about weakness or aging or broken muscles. You've discovered that 3 innocent, healthy foods could be quietly sabotaging your comfort every single day. You've seen a gentle path forward that doesn't require deprivation or isolation, just wisdom and kindness toward your body. But most importantly, you've joined a community of people who refuse to shrink their world to accommodate discomfort. You're part of a group that believes healing is possible at any age, that our bodies deserve care and respect, and that small changes can create profound transformations. If you're reading the comments on this video, you'll see you're not alone. You'll see others sharing their aha moments, their small victories, their questions and concerns. This is your community now. People who understand the shame, the frustration, and the hope that comes with bladder challenges. I want you to know that what we've covered today is just the beginning. Think of it as the foundation, removing the foods that were working against you. But there's so much more we can build on this foundation. Over the coming weeks, I'll be sharing the complete approach that has helped thousands of my patients not just manage their symptoms, but reclaim their lives completely. We'll talk about the gentle exercises that can strengthen your pelvic floor without strain. We'll explore the simple hydration strategies that seem counterintuitive but work beautifully. We'll address the emotional aspects of healing, the anxiety, the shame, the grief of lost confidence. Most importantly, tomorrow I'm going to share that crucial mistake I mentioned, the one that can undo all of this beautiful progress. It's so subtle that even my most dedicated patients fall into this trap, usually right when they're starting to feel hopeful again. But once you know what to watch for, it's completely preventable. I'll also be introducing you to my 7-day bladder reset protocol, a gentle, systematic approach to identifying your personal triggers and building your individual roadmap to comfort. Because while Josephine's journey involves citrus, tomatoes, and caffeine, your journey might be completely different. Your body has its own wisdom, and we're going to help you discover it. But for now, I want you to rest in this knowledge. You have everything you need to take the first step. Whether that's replacing your morning orange juice with herbal tea, swapping tomato-based meals for herb-rich alternatives, or bringing your own gentle beverages to social gatherings, you can start today. Your bladder has been waiting patiently for you to work with it instead of against it. It's been sending you signals, trying to communicate what it needs. Today, you finally learned how to listen. I'm honored to be part of your healing journey. I'm honored that you trusted me with your time, your attention, and your hope. And I'm honored to witness the courage it takes to believe that feeling better is still possible. Tomorrow, we'll take the next step together. We'll make sure you don't fall into the trap that catches so many people just as they're starting to heal. And we'll begin building the comprehensive approach that will give you lasting confidence and comfort. Until then, be gentle with yourself. Celebrate small victories. Trust your body's wisdom. And remember, you're not too old, too set in your ways, or too far gone to feel dramatically better. Your best days aren't behind you. They're ahead of you. And they begin with the loving choices you make today. If this video has given you hope, if you're ready to take that first gentle step, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Share which change you're going to try first, or simply type HOPE to let me know you're part of this community now. And please, share this video with anyone in your life who might be struggling silently with bladder concerns. You never know who might be planning their life around bathroom locations, thinking they're alone in their struggle. Your share could be the beginning of their healing journey too. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your courage. Thank you for believing that feeling better is still possible. I'll see you tomorrow, and together, we'll take the next step toward your freedom. Until then, be well, be gentle with yourself, and remember, your healing journey has already begun.